Welcome to all of our Warren Township families that have joined us here. We are going to be delivering a number of items and information in regards to our virtual program here at the high school. My name is Rich Shepler. I'm the principal at Warren Central, and I know that we had a number of you that joined us last evening, and hopefully we have even more joining us and making sure that you are getting connected with the high school virtual program. We forgot to hit the record button last night, so that we are redoing this because we want everybody to be able to access this information. Because again, a lot of tips and tricks that you're going to hear from a number of people that are here to serve you. I know that this past year, since March 12th, this has really truly been uncharted territory that we're all walking through. And not only students, but also teachers and administrators. And we all want to make sure that we're getting connected in the right way, and we all are able to hit that record button if it needs to be hit. So we are definitely committed to a high quality education for all students, whether you're in person or in a virtual setting. So we want to make sure that, again, you know how to navigate these programs, this system, this information system, everything. And it's not going to look exactly like this past spring either. I want to make sure I stress that. Last March 12th was our last day of in-person class, and none of us knew that at the time. And so we were trying to get everybody through the finish line, and we've had a number of months and a lot of manpower that have worked on this program ever since then to fine-tune it and get it where it is today. So we are here to help you navigate this experience. And at this time, I would like to introduce our assistant principal here at the high school, Mrs. Bree Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Shepler, and thank you all for taking the time out to watch this webinar so that you can get more clear information on our virtual program here at the high school. One of the things that we've had questions about in the last couple of weeks is, how does a student or family know if they're on the virtual schedule or if they're on the hybrid schedule? So right now at the high school, we're running two simultaneous programs. One is a hybrid program where students are coming to the high school every other day and working from home virtually on the opposite days. The other is a program for students who are working virtually full-time. If you are a full-time virtual student, you should have had a conversation with your school counselor and or academic coach to talk about the changes in your schedule. They should have followed up by actually changing your schedule. And we're going to look at an example of what you might see in your schedule if you're a virtual student. So you'll notice on my screen that there is a number circled in blue near the top, 3211-002V. The key component of that section number is the V. So if you're a full-time virtual student, you should have a V in the section number of the courses that you're taking at home. Additionally, the class periods for virtual courses range between period 10 and period 25 because those courses exist outside of our traditional school day. So to double check and make sure that you're fully virtual, you want to take a look at your schedule, take a look at the section numbers and the class periods, and remember that you should have had a conversation with your counselor or academic coach about that. We do know there are some of you that are coming to school for a couple of select classes, and we'll address that in just a few minutes as well. But right now, we want to talk to you about how virtual instruction is delivered to make sure that you know where to go to get all of the resources and work that you will need for this semester. So I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Allison Bodine. She is our math department chair, and she'll be covering that information for you.
Thank you. So today we need to talk about the 3 different ways that virtual instruction is delivered for high school students. The first and most common is Canvas. Your classes show up on the tiles, and you do it just like you were doing the hybrid model. We also have Apex, which is a fully virtual, self-paced curriculum, and then there's Indiana online courses, which are offered through a third party. So you should hear from your Apex, you should have had to register and send in materials, and you should hear from your Indiana online instructor for that. We're going to talk a little bit about Canvas and Apex and what you should see next. For Canvas, there are a few things that'll help you navigate through as a parent and be able to help your student. The first one is in the top left, you see the parent code. If you want to follow your student, you just click on have your student log in and click on the account, then settings, and then over on the right side of the screen, there's a button called Pair with Observer. It will produce a code. Copy that code, and then when you log into Canvas Parent, you can paste that code into, and then you'll be linked with your student forever. So you'll only have to do this once. The next thing is some people are having trouble accessing Canvas at all, and I think we've worked out most of those, but just make sure you remind your student to always access Canvas through the bookmarks. So there's the bookmarks bar, or if they've hidden the bookmarks bar, it's on the right-hand corner under the closed window. There's 3 dots, and they can click on bookmarks, MSD Warren, then Canvas. The next thing I want to draw your attention to is at the top right with the purple. Some of the defaults for Canvas were a list view where it showed all the classes in a row, and that's kind of hard for us to navigate. So if you have your student click on the 3 dots right there and switch it to card view, you'll see what we are seeing here where each class is separate and the students can click on those. In the lower left, you see the blue and it has Canvas Mail. The student that I copied this from has 22 unread messages in their Canvas Mail. That's where notifications on missing work and assignments come, so make sure your student is checking that Canvas Mail. On the right, you'll see a big circle / no. That is the to-do list, and the to-do list sounds like a great feature, but when you click on the items in the to-do list, sometimes you miss the instructional video or directions or key points on how to do the assignment correctly. So make sure you're having your students navigate through the tiles. And last but not least on this screen, in the bottom right, you can see recent feedback. Any assignment that has been graded by the instructor will list there, and any comments the teachers have left will be in that lower right-hand section of the dashboard. If you click on one of the tiles, you'll get inside one of the classes. In each class, they should navigate by clicking on the month, followed by the day, and then on the right, you'll see the actual lesson for the day. This is an example from one of my classes, and you'll see that it gives instructions on, there's a link to a notes page. You're going to upload your notes, and then you see the video. This is where the good content is, and if you just click on the to-do list, all you would see is what you would have on those links, and you might miss some key components. So make sure your students are navigating through the course this way. Our next delivery model is Apex. Apex has a distinct username and password. This is not the regular Google sign-on, so you want to make sure that you get that login information either from the counselor or from the teacher that is working with you for Apex. Then you'll navigate to the course. You see that there is a progress bar that will monitor how far you are along to completion for that course. And then there are multiple units, so you want to click on the first unit, and then when you click into the unit, you will see the screen that tells you how you can access the material. Sometimes that button will say start, and sometimes it will say resume. The biggest problem we have with Apex is that it doesn't always pop up in a full screen, and sometimes the continue button in the bottom right hand corner is obscured. So make sure your students hit maximize the window, or they feel like they're lost and they don't know how to navigate through. Those are some quick tips on how to navigate our online curriculum tools.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bodine. Now, we mentioned a few minutes ago that we do have a select group of students that are coming to school for specific coursework. That coursework includes AP classes, dual credits, and career center courses that a certification will happen in. And so Mr. McClatchy, our Assistant Director of the Walker Career Center, is going to share with you some of the expectations and procedures for students who will be joining us for those select courses in person.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brown. Hello, Warrior Nation. It's great to be with you guys again, talking with you in front of here. I want to talk a little bit about, as she said, individuals coming in the building with a hybrid schedule in addition to the virtual courses. So when signing up for virtual courses, your counselor should have talked with you about specific courses and or career programs that were only able to be offered through an in-person format. As Ms. Brown says, traditionally due to dual credit requirements, state CT requirements, or program-based requirements that prevented us from being able to offer it through a virtual format. If you're in this situation, when you look at your schedule, so as Mrs. Brown showed earlier, the schedule's periods 10 through 25 or so represent the virtual courses. If you have something listed period 1 through 7, that means you are supposed to be reporting to school on the assigned cohort day. So again, you want to make sure and look at that schedule. So for example, if you would be enrolled in Health Science 2 during periods 1 through 3, and then the rest of your courses are listed in period 10 and above, that means on your assigned day, you need to be reporting to the assigned either Walker Career Center or the Warren Central High School during those periods 1 through 3. Again, if you have questions on that, we encourage you to reach out to your counselor or myself. But again, those courses are only offered through in-person format, so it's critical that you are attending on those assigned days. If you're attending for a Warren Central class, we ask that you report in and out of door 1 only. So again, as you're reporting, you should get to door 1 within 5 minutes of the start of your class, so that way you get to class on time. And then after class, you need to leave directly out of door 1 for that. If you're reporting to Walker Career Center class, we're asking you to come through door 70. Once again, reporting at that assigned time and then leaving out of door 70 as soon as class is over. Students would also make sure you're parking in the correct parking lots. It's critical that your car is there when you get back, so we don't want you parked in the wrong parking lot. So that way you are able to get home for that. So again, we enjoy seeing you guys as you come in. Please work with them. We'll have to go through a security line and then report to class after entrance. So we hope to see you shortly.
Thanks, Mr. McClatchy. Students, we know that some of you are wondering exactly what you should be doing, when you should be doing it, and parents, you want to make sure that your students are taking care of everything that needs to be done so that they can be successful in this virtual experience. We're fortunate that our English department chair, Mrs. Janine Campbell, has a great deal of experience working with virtual education, and so she is going to share with us today some tips and routines for our virtual students. Mrs. Campbell, you're on mute. If you'd unmute yourself, then we would love to hear what you have to share.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. It's really important for students who are all virtual to create a daily routine. So this includes having a scheduled time for you to wake up in the mornings and begin your virtual instruction. We know that students are, have a lot of obligations, but it's really important to get in a daily routine so that you and your parents, your family can make sure that you're logging in every day and that you are creating the assignments that teachers have prepared for you. We also expect students to check their Gmail multiple times a day because oftentimes teachers are trying to contact students to deliver important instructions and directions for those assignments. So please make sure when you're at home that you're checking your email multiple times a day. Communicate during school hours. This is very important. So teachers are only working, they're only required to work from 7:30 until around 2:30 every day. There are times, of course, when teachers will make themselves available outside of these times, but we really want to be respectful of teachers' time when they are not in school. So we really advocate and recommend that students try to communicate during school hours with their teachers and their counselors and their academic coaches. Next, we would really encourage students to attend synchronous check-ins. These are times on goal days that teachers have set aside to be in front of a computer or by their telephones, by their emails, making sure that they can communicate with students. These synchronous check-in times have been determined by teachers, and sometimes they're predetermined for students as well. Teachers will sometimes put you in groups so that you can expect to sign in synchronously at specific times during the day. So these synchronous check-ins are mandatory. We're really expecting students to sign into them again on goal days so that they can just stay abreast of all of those instructions and assignments that teachers have provided for them. And also we want to make sure that students and teachers are communicating well because that's going to improve the overall progress and success rate for students in the virtual program. Finally, please make sure that you're completing the daily exit tickets. If you're a virtual student, this is how teachers are going to take attendance. And so when a teacher assigns you an exit ticket or an attendance question, it's really vital that you answer those questions every day so that you can be counted present for school, for a virtual program. If students do not complete the daily exit ticket, then they will be marked absent. So it's really, again, really vital that students complete those daily exit tickets. Mrs. Brown, back to you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Campbell. So Mrs. Campbell made a great point about completing exit tickets every day. And we're going to hand it over to Mr. Bodine, who is our science department chair, and he's going to help explain why it is so imperative that you are completing the exit ticket, because attendance is critical even when you're working from home. Mr. Bodine, you're on mute too. If you would unmute yourself, we'd be really excited.
Sorry about that. I clicked the button. It just didn't unmute me, I guess. Just to recap what Mrs. Campbell said, if you're teaching if you're taking a Canvas course virtually, your attendance question will be posted there either as an exit ticket or an attendance question, and that's something that students need to be answering every day. For us, student attendance is important because we have to report that to the state. But for the student side of things, it's important because it's a way for them to demonstrate engagement, to further interact with students. Teachers are putting content-based questions in there, so it's a way for teachers to kind of measure whether or not students have learned and grasped the concepts that are being taught on that particular day. So it's important component of the educational process for students as well. And then one thing that I wanted to share with you all is the difference between periodic and daily attendance. So teachers will take attendance every period or every class. So for in-person teachers, they're taking it every period as they see students, or if a student is absent, they're marking the student absent. Virtual teachers are doing the same thing using those exit tickets. So the students will be marked present or absent in all of their virtual classes every day. However, as we report to the state of Indiana, we report daily attendance. So the school also calculates the students' daily attendance. And for that, we look at those absences and presence. And if a student has been present 4 or more periods, then the student is marked present for the entire day. And if the student is absent more than 4 times, then they are marked absent for that day. So a student that has 5 presents and 2 absences would be present for a whole day. And that's for our state reporting purposes. And so if you see daily attendance, that's what we're talking about. Back to you, Mrs. Brown.
Thanks, Mr. Bodine. So guys, we've covered how we deliver our instruction, what you want to be doing each day, why attendance is so important, and to make sure that you get that exit ticket complete by 11:59 every single day. Now we want to make sure that you know how you can access your teachers, when and how they're available. So Mr. Dave Burton, the department chairperson for our World Language Department, is going to cover that information for you.
Thanks, Mrs. Brown. You can see on the right-hand side, we'll kind of go through the bullet points here, but the first thing I want to say about the teachers is we're working really hard every day to make sure that content is posted for students, and that's why we want them checking things every day. We prefer, obviously, to do our communicating with the students during school hours. So whether the students are going to email us or send us a message via Canvas, or maybe use the Remind app that some of you may be familiar with, or even make a phone call, we would like that to happen during school hours. Some teachers are teaching in-person classes as they are doing virtual, so the response time may not be immediate. That goes back to having the students check their email multiple times. If they send an email to a teacher at 8 a.m., they need to check their email at 9 and at 10, because that teacher may not be free until 11:30 to respond to their question. The phone is going to work similarly, because if the teacher has in-person students and their phone rings, it's going to go to voicemail, and they're going to have to not only listen to the voicemail, obviously make time to respond to that. The synchronous check-ins are the best thing for your students to connect with their teacher. They're scheduled. Students, like I know myself, I post an announcement every morning when I'm going to have a synchronous check-in. Tomorrow morning, my students will get an announcement from me that says synchronous check-in for letters H through P will happen from 11 to 11:20, and letters R through Z, it'll be 11:30 to 11:50. So the more, if students have questions based on the content they're seeing, checking in those synchronous check-ins is vital. And that allows them one-on-one time and sometimes face-to-face with their teachers. So the big thing to me is they've got to be patient in the response. And if they're going to send messages outside of school hours, obviously if they're sending messages at 11:30 at night, they probably won't get a response until the next morning. Thank you, Mrs. Brown.
Thanks, Mr. Burton. That was really helpful information. Students and parents, please communicate with us. That is the best way for all of us to navigate this process. We love to hear from you. We miss seeing your faces in the building. And so we do want to see you on those Zoom calls, and we want to hear from you. Now you might be saying, hey, I've got the synchronous call down. I know I'm checking my email and I have my work, but I'm just kind of struggling with this whole virtual thing. And I'm going to need a little bit of extra support. So one of our academic coaches, Miss Amy Moeller, is going to share with us some ways to get additional support if you're struggling with the virtual programming.
Hi there, thanks. As you can tell, it is not uncommon for some people to need a little extra assistance like we've seen today. When you are in that situation, know that you're not alone. The first thing that you can do is log in and do those synchronous check-ins. That's just a really fancy way to say you're going to do a live face-to-face time via Zoom with your teacher to ask questions and get additional help. The super great thing about that is you can see your teacher can see you. We teachers sometimes clue in, especially to your faces if you're really understanding something or you're just starting to get it. Likewise, there are numerous possibilities online that you can utilize. Academic coaches will be available at Moorhead from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Thursday. At that time, we can give you a number of resources online, as well as assist you with organization, time management, as well as communication. All those are super important as we begin dealing with this virtual education situation. Also, I recommend that you email your teacher, ask for clarification, make sure you read all communication and directions. A lot of times I know that we have things on Canvas that are videos that explain things, as well as presentations that you're able to go through and go back again if you need to, but you have to access them and actually read them in order to gain that information. If you work with all three of these things, I guarantee you'll be in a situation where you can be very successful and have a really great virtual learning experience.
Thanks so much, Ms. Moeller. Now, we have had some frequently asked questions come in both through webinar and through emails and calls to our offices. And so we want to make sure that we take some time to answer some of these most common questions so that people have the resources that they need. Our first question that we want to cover tonight is, what do I do if I need help with my Chromebook? So Mrs. Holman, our Social Studies Department Chair, is going to give us some tips on how to handle issues you might be having with a Chromebook at home.
Yeah, thank you. And we get a lot of questions about this, and there are two major types of issues that families have with Chromebooks. And the first really deals with the device of the Chromebook itself, with the hardware. So an example of that would be the power won't turn on, the screen is cracked, you've lost your power cord, things like that. So for those issues, you're going to go to Moorhead from 11 to 1 a.m. for assistance from our technology department. But the other kind of help that you might need is with software. So that might deal with programs that students need to complete their assignments and access their work. So for example, if a student is having difficulty opening Canvas or an assignment isn't loading properly, something like that. For those issues, they have they have a couple of different options. The first thing would be to contact their teacher and say, hey, I can't get this assignment to work. Could you help? The second was introduced last evening by Dr. Hansen, and that is our new help desk ticket. And so you can follow those instructions and just log on to the website, go to the menu for that and enter your help desk ticket. And then our technology department will be in touch to help with those issues. So we're so excited about that new development.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Holman. So we've talked a little bit about when teachers are available, and we've talked about getting to meet them through synchronous Zoom calls, but we do want to make sure that you know all of the various ways that you can find contact information for our teachers and your cohort staff. So Mr. McClatchy, could you just share with us the multiple resources we have to help connect families with the staff here at the high school?
Absolutely. And I think as everyone's kind of mentioned today on this call, communication is key throughout this. So we really need you guys reaching out both ways from that. Just because you're online doesn't mean communication shouldn't be happening. So if you're not sure who to contact or how to contact, you can always start by calling the main office phone number at 317-532-6200 and get assistance that way with getting connected with the correct teacher for that. The other option is going to be going through Synergy. You can go through your Synergy account. There's a link on there that'll directly email your teacher through that process. We also have a website and an app that's available that has a staff directory that will have every teacher mentioned are available listed for their contact information. And then we have Canvas as well. So as your student logs into Canvas, there's a way to communicate through the Canvas access through that. One thing we do ask, if you're not available, or if you're not already on Synergy, please make sure you get a Synergy account set up and check that your email is up to date with that, so that way you're getting up to date information as well through the Synergy account. So.
Thanks, Mr. McClatchy. Parents and caregivers, we want you to know that we're all here to support you and your students at all times. We have 215 certified staff people in this building that are committed to helping your child have a successful experience, whether they're in school or they're working from home. We just don't know if you need help unless you tell us. So please make sure you let us know and we'll assist you in any way that we can. Another common question that's come up is about materials for virtual classes. And while not all classes do have materials, there are some materials to be picked up at the school. So Mr. Dingman, could you share with us how families and students can get those materials if they were unable to make it to our first two pickups?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you'll need to do if you weren't able to make it into one of the two virtual material pickups is contact the main office at 317-532-6200, and they'll be able to get you connected with your cohort office. So then we can set up a time for you to come in and pick up your remaining materials, and then you'll be able to get everything that you need to keep going with your classes. Mrs. Brown, there was also, I've gotten several emails from students asking about virtual student pictures because they weren't here in the building for that. And so that is right now scheduled for October 19th and 20th, and will be broken down into two groups, A through K on October 19th and L through Z on October 20th. So that'll be after fall break, and that will be in room W301 in the Walker Career Center. So students will come in and through door 70 to get those pictures taken. In the meantime, I know there have been a lot of questions about IDs also. If students have downloaded the Student View app, they can access their student ID in that. So if you're a virtual student and would need that for any reason, if you download the Student View app, you should be able to pull up a student ID digitally through the Student View app.
Thanks, Mr. Dingman. We appreciate all of that information. And Indiana Online students, we did just find out in the last 24 hours that books for your courses will be delivered in the next week, and we will notify you as soon as we have the text for you to use if you're taking a course through Indiana Online. Now, we do have parents who are asking questions about exceptional learners and how their students will access services if they're an exceptional learner that's working from home virtually. So Mrs. Jill Lines, who is our department chairperson for the Office of Exceptional Learners here in the high school is gonna walk us through that process.
Absolutely. So we have a large spectrum of different services that we're offering virtually and through the hybrid model. And the common theme on this webinar is to communicate and to reach out. The majority of the teachers of record have already reached out to parents. If you have not heard from your son or daughter's teacher of record, you will hear from them in the next week. So we are going to look at their individual schedule as to whether they are coming in for a Career Center class or an upper level class, whether they are completely virtual or whether they're just doing the hybrid model, to make sure that their services are appropriate for what they need at this time. The first thing that we're going to make sure is happening, though, is that they're taking advantage of the support that's already there. So are they checking Canvas every day? Are they watching the videos? Are they doing those synchronous check-ins? Because those are going to be instrumental for every student's success. And then if there's a need in addition to those things, we will absolutely figure out a way to meet that need. And that will be discussed during the phone conference. We're doing all of our conferences virtually right now because we're not having visitors in the building, but we will have a Zoom conference and talk about those specific needs and concerns and find a way to solve the issues.
Thank you very much. So most of you at home know that Warren Township is a CEP district, which means that we provide breakfast and lunch to all students in our schools in Warren Township. We have had some families reach out and say, is food accessible if we are a fully virtual family working from home? So Mr. Channing Russell, who is the dean of our junior cohort, is going to share with you some resources to make sure that you're able to access that.
Hey, thank you, Ms. Brown. And hey, Warrior Nation, our virtual Warrior Nation, it's good to be in front of you guys. So yes, we want to make sure, as you've heard from everyone else on the panel, to serve you and make sure that you have everything you need. So at Moorhead, and if you're not familiar with where Moorhead is, it's in between Franklin Road and Post Road on 10th Street. So it's 8400 East 10th Street. It will be available actually this Friday, so tomorrow, from 8 o'clock to 9:30. And you can go in door number 1. Make sure you mask up and use proper social distancing, but they will provide you enough food for breakfast and lunch for a few days. The more people that come, they've indicated that they will, again, make adjustments as we go to make sure all of our virtual students have what they need. So on Franklin Road, on 10th Street, in between Franklin and Post, 8 to 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, you can go and pick up some food items to make sure you're healthy and strong and you have the energy to get that homework done. So we appreciate you, we love you, and please stop by and get some food for you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Russell. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch this webinar to inform yourselves on the changes that have been made to the virtual education program here at Warren Central. Please remember that we really do want to help in any way that we can. We want your feedback. Please reach out for assistance. And remember, high school students, the virtual commitment is a 1-semester commitment. Some people are a little unsure as to why we had to do that at this level. So I want to make sure you understand that high school courses are credit bearing, which means that at the end of this semester, you will have earned 1 credit for each course that you pass at the high school. That means that we need to make sure that you have a coherent curriculum experience for the duration of a semester. So if you've chosen hybrid, we're excited to see you in the building every other day, and we want you to be here from now until December. And if you've chosen the virtual program, we are happy to help support you at home from now through December. So a 1-semester commitment for the virtual or hybrid programming at the high school level. Again, please reach out and communicate with us for whatever it is that you need. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again soon.